Merry meet. So I want to review a tarot card deck, and this time it's my favorite deck. What I want to review is Cosmic Tarot. Now I got this deck back when me and my hubby were dating. Right near to where he grew up, there was this little New Age store named Scorpio, I think. It's not there anymore. But I picked up that deck there and I just fell in love with it. So I've kept it in the box. I usually keep my tarot cards in the box. So I know some people love to transfer them into bags and the like, but I usually keep the box as long as I can, but as you see it's starting to wear a bit. So yeah. This deck is made by Norbert Locher. That's his name. And it's published by AGM Agmöller. So yeah. Let me show you some of the cards. I got all of them. Yes. Yeah, it comes with this little book that gives brief descriptions of the cards. We can have a look at that first. It's in black and white. And the book isn't that good. As you can see, these are for the Major Arcana card. It's just a few lines on each. So you definitely have the same for the Minor Arcana. So you definitely need to have a tarot book, or you have to read by intuition to use this deck. It doesn't come with a book, do I? I'm not sure, but I think it might be published a book just for this deck, but don't quote me on that because I might be wrong. So yeah, you have a little introduction. You have some information on tarot structure, like what are the Minor Arcana, what are the Major Arcana, and so on. You have the cards, and you have a few spreads. One, how to use the cards for a 1 card reading, 3 card spread, a 5 card spread, 5 card cross spread, a 7 card line spread, the typical Celtic cross spread, a bit about other ways to spread the cards, and using the tarot cards, and just information on the publisher. So the spreads are good, the information on the cards are not. So yeah, these are the back of the cards. I just think it's so gorgeous. My only issue with it is that since it obviously have a right side up and a wrong side up, since it's a pentagram, you can see if a card is right side up or wrong side up. And I sort of more like them when you can see that before you turn the card. That's my only complaint. So yeah, let's start. We have, for example, a 6 of Cups, and the art style is this realistic. The colors are very muted. It's very gorgeous. 7 of Wands. I can't show you all the cards, of course, because there's 78 of them. 6 of Pentacles. The Empress. And as you see, what I really liked about this deck is that it's I really like this sort of pretty, relatively realistic art style. One of the things I do not like with the typical with the Rider-Waite deck is that while it's great for symbolism, it has very simplistic people drawings, and I like them more when they are pretty. Symbolism wise, it is pretty. It follows the Rider-Waite concept, but it does add a bit, and it doesn't have all the symbolism of the Rider-Waite deck, but it's definitely based around that. So yeah, this deck really speaks to me. Again, you see the colors are very muted. The cards really pop, but the colors are. It looks very. How should I describe it? To me, this deck is very calming because the colors aren't like in your face, extremely bright. The cards more draw you in because the color scheme is more, what should I say, watercolorish, perhaps? That would be a good way to describe it. I really like the Wheel of Fortune here. All that detail. So yeah, let me see if we can find some more major Arcana cards. Symbolism wise, I would say this is middle of the 3 type deck. It is definitely beginner friendly. It doesn't have a huge amount of hidden symbolism, which can be good or bad, because if you're a beginner it can be very easy to just get lost in all the symbolism that you will often find in some decks, while at the same time it can be a bit simplistic for somebody more experienced, especially if what you read by is the symbolism. I have a tendency to read a bit more, just letting it flow with intuition, and for me that really works because the deck for me really draws me in. But if what you're after is direct symbolism, and also if you are working with, for example, the Tree of Life and using the tarot for that, or ritual magic with the tarot, it'll work. It's traditional enough to work, but there are other decks that are better for that. So yeah, for me this is a very feminine deck. Of course, that doesn't mean that you can't, that men won't enjoy it, but the color scheme, the very pretty nature of it, to me this is a very feminine deck. So yeah, I will have to say though that the sword cards gets really depressing in this one. Most of them are this very deep dark. So this is one of the decks where the negative aspects of the swords suite really comes out. I am one of those that basically I look at the card as much as what the card symbolizes when I read it, meaning that, for example, in my vampire tarot deck, where you see a vampire being burned by the sun card isn't feeling that positive there. And the same here, that in some decks, while the swords by many readers are considered to be negative, if the cards are bright and look cheerful and so on, the negative aspects get toned down. Then here it sort of gets toned up because most of them are very grey, very dark. So yeah. So though not all of them. You have, for example, this one, which is more positive. I find the symbolism very easy to read. It's a deck that's very easy to get into. I think this was my third tarot deck. I'm not completely sure, I think it was my third. And for me this was definitely the one that was easiest to get into. I found it even easier than the Rider-Waite deck, because the symbolism is very out there. Let me get back to the Six of Swords here. Like, for me this really pops out as the concept of someone who has had some troubles, with the swords pointing in here, you have the troubles down here, and he's just gotten his head above water, and he's starting a new life and is happy and positive about it. And that really, you don't really need a book to tell you that, because the card tell it for you. So yeah, I look up Series Gorgeous. So yeah, I think that who will like this deck? I think that if you like more muted watercolor type decks, then you will really love this. If you like the more realistic style of the human figures, you will like this deck. And if you want a relatively simple deck which still follows traditional tarot symbolism, you will like this. Downsides of this deck is that some of the cards can be a bit dark. And then I don't mean dark as in disturbing imagery, but more that the colors often so muted, so grey, that it have a sort of, some of them have a sort of oppressive vibe, like Six of Cups here, with these muted blues and greys. It sort of get that very muted, deep, sort of, yeah, dark is basically the closest I would get to describe it, vibe for it. So that might be a bit much for someone. I guess I could describe it as a very, very heavy meat meal. It's not for everyone, but all in all, this is a very beginner-friendly deck that has gorgeous pictures. The symbolism is easy to get. It's well represented in the cards, and it's not overly complex, but at the same time it is complex enough to really work. It's easy to read, and yeah, it gets a bit of a minus for the booklet being very, very, very superficial. But other than that, this is a great deck. Now, quality-wise, I would say middle of the tree. It has decent cardstock, but it's still quite bendy. On the other hand, I think I was like 17 years old, 17 or 18. I think I was. It was one of those when I got this deck, and I am 31 now. So, and if you can have a look at the cards here, they are not much worn. I do take good care of my cards, but yeah, I can't complain. It has, the pictures hasn't faded over time. There's not much wear and tear around it. It hasn't yellowed. So yeah, I'm very satisfied with it. So if you can deal with a bit muted imagery and a bit somewhat depressive imagery, or if that is something that can inspire you, I really love the emotion in this deck. It really stirs up emotions in me. Then I can definitely recommend this deck. If you want something a bit more light and cheerful, then you might want to look elsewhere. So yeah, for me this is definitely my favorite deck. If I am going to put a value on it though, I would say perhaps 8 out of 10. Booklet pulls it down. The fact that you can easily see the top and bottom of the cards from the back pulls it down a little bit, and the how dark some of the minor arcana cards get, especially swords, can be a bit too much, especially for some of the cards where it doesn't fit completely. That pulls it a bit down. Symbolism wise, however, it is simple but elegant. Most of the cards have the symbolism well represented in the pictures. The pictures have high quality. The cards are decent quality, so yeah, it's a good deck. And that was my review of Cosmic Tarot by Robert Locher. think that's how it's pronounced. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this review. Have a great day, and blessed be.